I've done it again, guys. I dug deep and unearthed some pretty interesting and unique looking titles over the course of this season's Steam Next Fest. This time I sampled 3 roguelikes, 1 shooter and 3 action adventures, all of which piqued my curiosity first and foremost because of their bold art direction. Remember when you were a child and saw a video game in the store or for rent and wanted to try it solely because of its cool box art? Kinda like that. And although the Next Fest might be over for now, I still wanted to briefly showcase each game I played and, there's the chance you can try out these games for yourself even without the event happening. So let's get started and let me take you on a wild, alphabetically ordered ride of upcoming, mostly unconventional looking and fun to play video games. The first game I tried is already an absolute banger in my opinion. It's called Absolum and is a 2D side-scrolling roguelite beat-em-up game currently in development by Guard Crush, Super Monks and .emu, studios behind illustrious titles like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage for example, so you're getting into the good stuff right away. In this demo, you play as one of 3 outcast heroes who set out to retake magic from the antagonistic Sun King Azra. There's Galandra, Karl and Cider, who all have their respective moveset and special abilities, and although they might control rather similarly, they all feel distinct enough in my opinion. The first area of the full game, called Grandery, is completely playable and already showcases the directions the game's heading in, with different branching paths you can take, almost all of them featuring a wide variety of various enemies, bosses and random encounters. With Absolum being a beat-em-up title first, gameplay naturally consists of fighting, punching and more fighting, featuring a whole arsenal of different moves and combos, special attacks, ultimate abilities, grabs, throwable items, you can dodge and deflect enemy attacks, and even use mounts to slap your foes around with. They really went all out here to ensure that not a single mechanic got left behind, and I think that's awesome. I like me some options, As far as the roguelike elements go, besides taking different paths while underway, you'll come across certain items and power-ups you can take to enhance your character and the chance of winning your current run, and there's meta progression in the form of permanent upgrades you can purchase while being at your home base. Speaking of progression, character and story moments are also revealed to you here between your runs, which reminded me a lot of another game called Hades. You might have heard of it, a rather small and unknown little indie game. I'm just kidding. There's also the option to play local and online co-op, which I didn't do since I'm afraid of unfamiliar people, but just so you know it's there. Besides shining with its tight and responsive gameplay, Absolum also has a lot to show when it comes to its art direction and sound design. The game's fully voice acted, sound effects are impactful and satisfying, and the OST is epic and breathtaking, especially in the boss fights. Got my blood pumping, I'll tell you that much. The developers clearly had a bit of budget available and it shows. The production value of the whole thing is on a very high level already. So I'm not a huge beat-em-up guy. I've played some classics here and there, like Golden Axe, Rival Turf and Turtles in Time for instance. But I think this one right here has the potential to become an instant classic once it's fully realized. Personally, I had a blast playing the demo and I'm excited for the full game. The second game on the list is Black Raven by L4S Games, a 2.5D action-adventure set in a fictionalized 14th century Ukraine. The demo is rather short, I completed it in just under 10 minutes or so, but since I've played it I wanted to showcase it here anyway because I think the art style and presentation have a lot going for it. You play as Ivan, a humble farmer who just lost his family to pillagers who look like they could be humans or maybe Tartars, as Henry would say. So he decides to put on the mantle of the Black Raven to slaughter anyone who stands in his path. You see where this is going already. This is a medieval revenge story. And it's a rather violent and gory one too, showing a lot of blood and gruesome deaths. Judging by the screenshots on the Steam page, the full release of Black Raven will also feature some fantastical elements rooted in Slavic folklore, although the demo's focus here is to showcase the combat system against human enemies and general feel of the game. The former is relatively rough at this stage of development, I'm not gonna lie, but it's an early alpha version, so I expect that it gets smoothed out further until this thing hits the digital shelves. As I said before though, I think the art direction and premise presented here are very cool, and I'm interested to see how this game develops in the future. Now for something more cozy, the third game on this list is Easy Delivery Company, a relaxing package delivery game featuring a bunch of cute animals, in development by Sam C and to be published by Oro Interactive. You play as a mute protagonist who just started to work for a company named EasyCo, delivering all kinds of merchandise to and from local businesses in this snowy mountain town while earning well below minimum wage, as the game's Steam page says. Getting to know the local population is an added bonus here. You select a job from your personal computer, with which you can also check your mails and the map, for instance, pick up the parcel and off you go to drive to your destination. Handling your truck and cargo while drifting through the snow is very fun and the core aspect of the game, at least that's what the demo is suggesting, I'd say. And you can lose your load if you drive too recklessly. Although it doesn't seem to have any repercussions in the demo, because lost packages still popped up for me after the delivery was complete. Sometimes you have to clear a snowdrift or two to keep going though. Just be careful not to stay outside your truck for too long, especially not during a blizzard, because you can in fact freeze to death if you don't find a shelter in time. Besides the tricky weather, you have to be aware of a few other things too, like for example keeping your truck and yourself fueled at all times. There's gas stations where you can refuel your car, and while expensive, a full tank lasts a pretty long time. For yourself though, you have to consume the occasional energy drink to keep the tiredness at bay, lest you get too sluggish, and I think you'll freeze faster as well. Not 100% sure about that, it feels like it though. The demo lets you explore this mountain town endlessly if you so choose, but there's indication that won't be the only area you'll be able to make your deliveries in once the full game drops. I don't know what the future plans are with Easy Delivery Company, but I'd like to see something of a story mode in the full release, where you can find out more about the town and its inhabitants. We'll see. All in all, I think this is a very nice game already, with cool PS1 style graphics if you're into that, a fun driving system and banger music you can listen to on your truck's radio. And although it may look a bit eerie and like an analog horror game, I didn't encounter anything strange. Next up on the list is an upcoming low-poly 3D action-adventure game called Journey of the Garden Rose by Renegade Sector Games. And this is my first exposure to the developer, as they seem to have put out quite a backlog of games within various genres already. As far as I can tell, they all have a similar art style, though this one in particular reminded me somewhat of a more colorful Castlevania 64, so I had to check it out. You play as Lily, who is in search of her mother, who presumably went back to a palace she escaped from such a long time ago. The demo is a short one, featuring a handful of areas in which you have to solve a few switch gate puzzles and fight against some enemies, and I'm afraid I have to call out an arachnophobia warning here. Please skip to the time shown here to avoid seeing creepy crawlies. Because the first baddie you encounter is
the giant enemy spider.
I mean, it's low poly and kinda crude looking, but could they not ease us into fighting giant rats or something first? Or wolves? Or slimes even? Anyway, in this demo you are equipped with a sword and a dodge move to dispatch your foes. The full version will add a bow and a magic wand as well. The combat system is pretty rough at this stage of development. I thought I'd never see the end of the demo by just free-flying it like that, but then I discovered there's a lock-on feature here, so that was a literal lifesaver. It made the combat significantly easier and almost enjoyable. No, I don't want to be too harsh since it's still early in development and the dev has already stated that Journey of the Garden Rose will get more polished the further it's developed, so I'm certain that the game will shape up to be a nice old school action-adventure title once it's finished. Another game I tried during Next Fest was Mina the Hollower, the soon-to-be released new offering by Yacht Club Games, the studio behind the Shovel Knight franchise. I'd consider myself a big Shovel Knight fan, so checking out the newest game was pretty much a no-brainer for me. And I'm glad that I did, because this one already promises to be just pure old-school video game goodness, with lovely Game Boy Color style graphics, a banger soundtrack by Jake Kaufman, and despite its looks, a more modern approach to game design. You play as Mina, an anthropomorphic mouse lady and renowned hollower, who sets out on a mission to rescue a cursed island by repairing 7 malfunctioning spark generators. Unfortunately for her and her crew, however, their ship gets attacked by a giant kraken during the voyage, leaving Mina and the rest fighting for their lives. And this is where the first level and the demo truly begin. So Mina the Hollower plays like a mix of different games, with Zelda and Castlevania being the more obvious ones, I think. But there's a little bit of Bloodborne or FromSoft influence in here as well. That doesn't mean the game's a full-blown Souls-like, I'd say. I mentioned this only in the attempt to classify the game a bit. The core gameplay sees you fighting, platforming and burrowing your way through a level, collecting items, finding secrets and meeting peculiar characters along the way, until you're ready to face the respective stage boss. In the demo you can choose between 3 main weapons to take care of the fighting bit, the daggers, the whip and the hammer, each with its own moveset. Unfortunately, you're locked in with your choice for the demo's duration without restarting. I'd imagine that finding or purchasing new weapons and being able to switch between them will be a feature of the full game. There are Castlevania-style sub-weapons for you to find though, to increase your damage dealing potential. Defeating enemies are just up for grabs to find throughout the level are bones, a currency you need to purchase items with, and more importantly, level Mina after reaching a certain threshold. Should you die while holding some, you will lose your so-called spark, which contains all of your bones to the nearest enemy or the one who defeated you, but you'll get one chance to retrieve it again. A second death without securing your lost spark first will result in losing your bones forever, so there's the From Software influence shining through, although it needs to be said that a penalty for failing, so to speak, was a thing in video games well before Souls games even existed. The healing is very Bloodborne inspired, I'd say though, as you can regain the amount you'll heal with your flask by attacking enemies. Luckily, there's a way to store your acquired bones for later use while being at a checkpoint, so there's that. After spending an hour or so with the demo, I think Mina the Hollower will turn out to be a challenging but very rewarding, purely fun, old school video game, just like the Shovel Knight games that came before, and I for one am very excited to dig in when it drops this Halloween. In a world where cosmic cats with shape-shifting powers rule the earth, be the mouse that makes a change. That, or something similar, must have been going through the heads of the people of Furcula, the developers behind this next game. It's called Morsels and is a top-down creature-collecting action roguelite title which plays similarly as other games of the genre, like Nuclear Throne or The Binding of Isaac, for example. You play as Morsel, a sewer-dwelling mouse that can change its form at will with the help of mysterious cards that fell to Earth one day. Presumably sent from another galaxy, they grant the power of shapeshifting to anyone able to wield them. Morsel and a clique of killer cats being among them. Your goal is to reach the surface to put an end to the evil machinations of the cats and to discover the origins of the cosmic cards. The demo features a handful of levels and a major boss fight, and depending on your playstyle, it takes around 15 to 30 minutes to complete a run. So, what initially intrigued me the most about this game after seeing some screenshots was, of course, the art style. It looks so organic, you know? Turns out that Toby Dixon, the artist who also worked on Atomic Crops and Nidhogg 2, is involved in Morsels' development as well, so very good stuff. The OST and overall sound design are on a rather high level as well. They clearly know what they're doing here. So with art and presentation being a winner, what about the gameplay? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag in my opinion, because while the game is fun to play, it just takes a while to get there. You see these creatures you can turn into and find more of throughout your run, these morsels. They start out rather weak, which is totally fine, but they're often equipped with just a pea shooter kind of attack, which honestly straight up sucks. It has low damage, low range, and it doesn't help that there's an ammo or stamina system in the game that drains a tad too quickly for my tastes. I feel like it's a bit too harsh, especially noticeable in the early stages of the game. Also, you can get afflicted with certain conditions and diseases that worsen things further if you don't cure them with pills, which in fact happened to me in my very first few minutes of playing the game. Unfortunately, it doesn't really explain what exactly those ailments do, and while Morsels has tutorial messages, I feel like they could be expanded upon. Just explain or show me how your stuff works, you know? Every morsel has its own special ability though, and of course there are shops you can purchase from and items to find that enhance your character and can make things a little bit easier. But the thing about items is that you can find ones for morsels you don't have and have no way of knowing you'll get them in this run at all, so picking these up oftentimes is a shot in the dark. There are special items lying around in the levels that you can pick up and deliver to certain characters during your ascent, unlocking boons or bonus levels after doing so. For example, this ticket you can bring to the bus that unlocks a Frogger-style bonus stage, in which I died pretty much instantly, but anyway. Of course, the delivery process can turn out to be quite tricky, but I really like this mechanic. If you spend too much time on a level though, a giant snake will appear to hunt you down, kinda like the ghost in Spelunky. So you're forced to advance to the next stage if you don't want to get killed prematurely. I don't know if I have any strong feelings about this, I just rolled with it, you know? Anyway, should you manage to evolve your morsels by collecting enough of these blue glowing bits and maybe even get a bit of a rotating roster with different guys going, the game is great fun. A leveled morsel is stronger, has more stamina and looks cooler. Well, okay, that's debatable. I feel like it's mostly the initial confusion about how things work and react to each other, and the fact that the early game morsels kinda suck that make the game a little rough to get into. Overall, I do love the game though, and I want to see more of it. I realized that I didn't talk about every single gameplay mechanic, but I hope the quote-unquote problems Morsels has get ironed out the further it develops, because the aesthetics and ideas Ferkula have for this game are very unique, and I'm looking forward to seeing and playing this one in its finished state. The last game I shall briefly talk about is Oddcore, a frantic, fast-paced roguelike first-person shooter created by Oddcore and to be published by Scarecrow Arts, in which you play as a janitor cleaning liminal space horror-inspired levels, one creepy entity at a time. The whole thing takes place in the titular Oddcore, an amusement park getting ready for the upcoming holiday season, and plays pretty much like a boomer shooter with brain rot aesthetics. You get 5 minutes to run, gun and use different abilities to clear as many levels as you can by defeating enemies and collecting their souls in the process. Once the timer hits 0, your run's over and you die. You can almost always take a break from cleansing stages by opening a portal, which brings you to a room in which you can use your souls to purchase various upgrades that can enhance your run, like damage ups or stun chance increases for example, and more importantly, get more time by trading them with the park's mascot, Timmy. There's a tax mechanic here, which I'm gonna be honest, didn't quite understand. But it makes it so that everything's more expensive basically, and I think it also increases the chance of corruptions appearing after clearing a level. These corrupted enemies can easily swarm and overwhelm you, so preferably you gotta zap them as quickly as they appear. There's also nightmare and bonus levels for you to discover here, and I think the level variety in general is very good and diverse here in Oddcore, especially if you're a fan of the backrooms or liminal spaces. Once your run ends, be it by dying or winning, you get tokens you can spend back in this uniquely designed and rather awesome interactive menu hall before it's time to choose another weapon, or stick with your current one and starting ability and jump back in again. That's basically the whole shtick of Oddcore, and I think the demo manages to capture the vibes they are going for perfectly already. My only complaints, if you wanna even call it that, are that the guns feel very similar to each other. That's why I decided to stick with the katana. And I feel like the difficulty ramps up rather quickly, so by variant 10 I was already at the skin of my teeth pretty much. I'm all about difficult games but suck big time in shooters, so maybe that's just a me problem. I will say though, the game manages to get you into some kind of a rush, a sort of killing trance if you want, a feeling only reinforced by the pumping soundtrack that plays in the background. Personally, I'm excited to see the finished product once it's ready, although I'll have to get my FPS skills up to snuff before then. So these are the games I tried during this June's Next Fest, and I'm looking forward to playing their full versions. Originally I had planned to feature one more, but oh well, there's always a next time, you know. So what demos did you try out, if any? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it, and I'll see you in the next one.